Newbees, turn to ban. Radiant team ban. Newbies, turn to pick.
I'm interested that the Newbee actually banned out Batrider instead of Faceless Void this game, so it's looking pretty likely that we're going to see a Faceless Void coming out here for Wings Gaming. Would honestly kind of turn what we've been seeing out of them on their head. There we go. That makes a lot more sense. Okay, Newbee are going to take the Faceless Void that they left in the pool. That's not a hero you usually give up to Wings. So for Newbee, that kind of signals we're likely seeing the Faceless Void, Phoenix combination.
10 seconds remaining.
Not unlikely to see a Timbersaw in the mid again as well. Like there are certain ways that they like to run this hero.
Remaining. Reserve time. Radiant team pick. Newbies, turn to pick. Okay. 10 seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Reserve time.
He's also great at countering out faces if you can keep him outside of Chronosphere. Just either disrupt the void or you disrupt his target. And there's something that can be done. In addition, inside of a Chronosphere, it's actually very easy to land a Soul Catch, even if it's your opponent's Chronosphere. And you can throw Shadows and stacks over any of his allies that he manages to accidentally catch. Once again, Elder Titan, a decent hero at dealing with the Chronosphere. You throw an Astral Spirit in there, throw out an Echo Stomp, and you basically wait out the entire duration of that Chronosphere.
Witch Doctor!
Dr. Paris very well. Yeah, I mean, that doesn't include the Phoenix either. Witch Doctor does provide enough control around that egg in order to usually help protect the Supernova. I'd honestly be a little surprised if the ban here.
Newbies, turn to ban. Radiant team ban.
Team.
10 seconds remaining.
So what we might see for that is a Slardar, essentially coming out in a 4th spot.
Reserve time.
Alternatively, something they may consider going into is more pushy oriented mid, and there is going to be the expand of sizes at all. I'm curious exactly the way Newbee go with it, because for Faceless Void, if they are going to run that as your offlaner,
Radiant team pick.
I think they do. You really need it for control, but if you're going to run it as the carry, what you need is something to modify his attack speed in addition, make sure that he's able to do damage in mid-game, because the other face is quite wild to get off.
10 seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining.
Good.
Newbies, turn to pick.
Yeah.
10 seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining.
I don't see a lot of Shadow Demons, so I think
Reserve time.
Fans would forgive him for not knowing all of the exact mechanics of this hero. But bear in mind that disruption illusions, guys, have scaling damage. It's not like a mana style. When you get up to level 4 on that disruption, the illusion damage that your Juggernaut is doing is 75%. So, and you get 2 of them. So you're essentially getting illusion damage worth more than the actual hero damage for a short period of time. So you get good right clickers alongside a Shadow Demon. You're right on point with that lyrical. It does.
Radiant team.
First, there's some of that initiation that you were talking about, but it does also kind of synergize up with the courier. You're able to push and pull through the Chronosphere and then roll it and magnetize immediately out of the Chronosphere. I don't. We've seen a lot of Earth Spirit from Newbee this patch, but there's no reason why they shouldn't be able to run it just basically the same way that they did on 687.
Huskar!
Newbee's
Right.
turn to pick.
Right.
10 seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Reserve time.
Huh. I don't know if that's an upper bracket finals game 3 strategy, because if that works, it really works. But if that fails, it really fails. So honestly, the Timbersaw still in the pool. That Huskar, whether or not the Huskar did, Juggernaut is did, and either is expected, probably the Huskar. Neither of those heroes fare particularly well against a 1-1 Timbersaw. They're both very right-click oriented, which means that the reactive arm do very well. And there, yeah, Timbersaw's going to come up.
Radiant team back.
Yeah.
Stop.
10 seconds remaining.
And the Slark banner, that's a pretty solid banner. Slark doesn't pair with the Faceless Void particularly well, but everything else on the table implies a very ganky, skirmishy style draft that a Slark would.
10 seconds remaining.
In terms of how might be holding, and remember, the Faceless Void could still be how, although I agree with you, I expected. Not really sure what they go back to, though, is the thing. Like, he doesn't play that many heroes this patch, and things that he does play that would synergize here, mostly ban.
In
10 seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Reserve time.
I wouldn't hate an axe here. It is a little niche, and once again, we have said that some additional initiation would be nice for Newbee. It does work well into the Huskar. Yeah, that's a good call. Yeah, I don't know. Have you seen them run a safe lane axe recently? Unfortunately, because of Chinese Dota, it's not something that I've been able to follow as closely as I would.
Dazzle.
I've ever seen them run it, but they take Dazzle into it. But I mean, you line up and try to sit the
Okay,
this
that
makes a
little
lot more sense.
To me, yeah. But you know, either way, the axe here is really strong, especially leading into what looked like it very well could be a Dazzle pick with the Elder Titan taking a more core position. I think Wings Gaming were trying to signal that there's no way they would get a Dazzle because they have the Elder Titan Shadow Demon already. But Newbee seems to have seen through that a little bit. All things said and done, I think, honestly, it feels to me like Newbee have a draft that is better suited for Newbee's strengths, and also
5 seconds
that is better suited against Wings Gaming. That doesn't necessarily mean Newbee will win, but I think that they did.
I would agree with you there. We're gonna try one quick reconnect. Sometimes if you do then Newbee should just crush. But like, if the Huskar is able to build some type of momentum and start to snowball a little bit, that's where things get very scary for the side of Newbee. The roll up to the high ground, Kaka's going to place a ward, but they spotted this out. If they realize he's up on the cliff, are they capable of finding this kill?
Only if they get the...
Oh,
they don't
no.
have disruption.
Oh, the poison.
Just 1 second until he can roll off. So.
They're picking it. Oh, 3 stacks the right click? No, he's not going down.
It's just... if... The irony there is if Innocence had gone for disruption instead and then disrupted on the roll, they might have been able to do it the Astral Spirit for Vision. But that's a pretty long shot. Then you're scaling entirely for a maybe kill.
Well, it does look like, at least for now, as we're heading off into this. The other thing that I will say about Newbee as a whole is that sometimes they're willing to take a lot of sacrifice. This is a little bit of a battle for this starting round. They're willing to sacrifice their early laning stage a little bit because they know that they're going to be able to group up and play well against their opponents. But if they do that too much in this game, I'm worried about what this Huskar is going to be able to accomplish. Shadow already going to be left to his own devices, a lane alone as KP heads towards the jungle.
And it is actually going to be the Juggernaut. It mentioned as a possibility. Jug will fare better than Huskar would have, I think, here. He's just got a little bit more early lane sustain, and it's not... He might still dependent on his run.
Rolling in, Faith Beyond stunned up. You have the stomp that's going to get thrown out, but How is still there and can go for a jump. Chuan, a heal pump comes in. They're able to get flood, and they didn't think that they were going to be able to do that enough since Innocence does not have disruption, but still walking next to him, they kill off a Witch Doctor. Really well played, and you see that that's the sort of dynamic that we were talking about in the draft a little bit, is that if you do have disruption into the combo there, it's a lot of damage, that heal bomb.
Yeah, I mean, the synergy here is tremendous, right? You've got the disruption into the stomp, you've got the illusions at the heal bomb, and a very easy Warcraft 3 block around these. And just some denies coming as the lane starts to reset. And Newbee are going to have to be careful.
The thing I will say about this is that because the Disruptor ended up taking the Shadow Poison first, that is not going to be a kill that's as easily replicatable until they get level 2, which isn't the easiest thing in the world in this type of a lane.
Yeah, they should be able to get it off of this next wave of 3 as long as the Shadow Demon's getting the experience rate. But no, How is sitting here with 5 tangos in half. His regen is largely being chewed through. And the nice thing about the Shadow Poison is that not very susceptible to being time walked off. Because it's a lot of really... so How isn't exactly able to walk it away.
Kaka taking some more damage here as well. Yeah, that is something that's definitely a bit of a frustrating situation. Blink also maybe in a little bit of trouble. They have that 1 point in the Whirling Death, so Moo's been able to bully him somewhat, get a 10 and 3 at the start of this, but you can see the sort of fact is this Axe Jungle KP already level 4, and it's sort of sharing the top of the CS mark with the Huskar in the safe lane.
Yeah, granted, the jungle creeps that he's getting are not worth getting, but he is still he's and the axe, because he's such a hard counter to the Husk and the Dazzle, and with the Husk Dazzle combination, it's probably worth the axe is getting.
Oh, and KP is gonna get disrupted here. Innocence might be able to do a little something. He needs to keep you out there, and he's gonna try and go for it. He's gonna be able to survive. Good recognition. That would have definitely been a kill if he would have stuck there, and now maybe gonna be able to do a little bit going back the other direction. This does leave the safe lane alone, and Hal has to be a little bit careful, but Chuan's gonna punish Innocence slightly.
Yeah, unfortunately, part of the problem with this aggressive tri-lane coming out of Wings. Remember last game, I had praised the aggressive tri-lane as a concept, not necessarily as its execution, because the mid lane was so strong out of Wings Gaming that it forced favorable lanes in every other position. But in this case, Wings Gaming are blocking themselves into that aggressive tri-lane and forcing their own mid to play into an unfavorable position. ProDotA is starting to take control of that lane. So instead of guaranteeing at least 2 favorable lanes, they're guaranteeing 1 with Huskar. And as we said, the Axe being in the jungle does not exactly bode well for them. And
Oh man, and Moo almost got caught there. That would have been a really nice combination, but the Timber chain away, and Moo is able to take the infielder as well. It's a roll boulder down towards the bottom. Gonna be able to snag this one away from Jug as well. So left the lane for a little while. Not gonna be able to get either of his runes, and a very frustrating start. But still the Huskar farms, and it's gonna be able to at least start to do a little bit of damage here to this tier 1 tower in the bottom lane.
yeah, up top, I think we just need to see more action, to be honest, for Wings Gaming to kind of justify these picks. This did just pick up, so should be able to get back up there if he wants to. And I think he's just going to wait for the wards flown out to him on.
I just felt like they could have done so much more in that lane if it sort of stayed for the disruption on the Shadow Demon, and because that didn't end up happening, it means that they couldn't sort of come out to a dominant start, and then once level 2s were online, you know, House end up being able to get a bash chance. I've also got Witch Doctor who's got the continuous heals, so you can't trade hits as effectively, and all in all, it just made it into such a more difficult lane than it needed to be. Blink does have level 6 now, so we need to be a little bit careful about the potential for an Omni Slash, but at least for now you can see that all across the Newbee has been able to get off to a good start, and even though Wing a little bit ahead in terms of the net worth, the CS and experience earned is into the favor of Newbee.
Yeah, so one thing that we are going to be able to turn to their favor here is the fact that, well, we all come back. Okay. Yeah, one thing they're going to be able to turn into their favor here is the fact that Faceless Void as it wants to get does not keep going that fast. So in order to really utilize the Void immediately after phase for advantage, they have to make sure, or Newbee would have to make sure that the combination is that you've got the Timber Saw and Witch Doctor making it work. So if Wings Gaming are able to position themselves in smaller skirmishes with the Chronosphere and the Death Ward Camera, they just have better innate control and damage for that. They can get off to a post-laning phase. They might be able to capitalize on that in pretty big ways moving into the...
Oh, and KP is going to move down here. I thought for a second the Timbersaw was going to try to carve in for a gank with that invisibility. Instead, he's just head back mid, put out the creep, and head off on his merry little way. We're seeing again that the CS battle very much into their favor. I would say that relative to what you're getting out of the off lane now, Wings, how it's going to get stomped up, and probably punched a couple of times by Phaetheon. It's significantly in favor of Newbee, and now the Chakram Faith might end up down. A lot of damage thrown out their way, and Timbersaw finds the kill.
That was a nice rotation, exactly what I was talking about, right? The point had dropped Chronosphere without the rotation from Moo. Nearly would have even reached the Elder Titan. But as Moo rotated up, you need either him or the Witch Doctor around all the time.
Shadow now on this Huskar trying to build an armor. It still does not have it up. Occasionally we've seen Huskars go into the armlet immediately, then trying to take down Roshan, but that's not going to be the play this time around. I gotta say, I'm just worried about what's going to happen. KP's going to have his think like around the space when this Huskar is trying to take down a second tier 1 tower, and I'd be a little bit concerned about that.
He also did for a value point vitality, which is not we always see Huskar builds. Sometimes we do see there's bludgeon right already. You're able to use them, let's say, solo. Whether or not that armlet is coming out fast enough for this game to really functionally work out the way Wings want it, independent once again on the way the team does bash up top of
Indeed, the Reaper is going to be here. Blink and Ice Ice, they want to make something happen immediately. Chuan spots them out, backs out. Not going to be able to find it. So a couple more rotations, not completely working into the favor of Blink. They might be able to push off of this. They've got a lot of heroes in the area, and this feels like it could be that time of the game.
I mean, you got Juggernaut and Huskar. Juggernaut does have the level 1 board. They do need to start applying pressure with this, especially before the Faceless Void has his own innate damage.
And speaking of him, he is going to get caught out there. Went for the Cash Perseverance for the moment, but you can see Moo having none of it already. Oh, that's a ping. You can see that Moo is already going to be able to push out this creep wave pretty effectively.
Yeah. I mean, that is one of the benefits of having the mid Timber Saw, is that he is going to be getting a lot more experience in the Timber Saw that is forced to replicate into the jungle. And with that extra experience early on in the game, he's able to have the Timber Gain for mobility, but still be able to kind of push those waves out, right? So pushing into him will be sort of difficult. They need to make sure they're doing it before the Axis gets going. And actually, the 2 of his Axis by is going to die.
Yeah, this is, I mean, he's in farm to the game, and I kind of do like how going back for what I'm assuming is going to be Battle Fury. It does seem to make a decent amount of sense, at least. I don't think he'd be going for like a Lincoln's or anything this early. And we've seen out of a couple of other voids when it's in the context of these early pushing strategies to keep those creep waves pushed out. So we'll see if it ends up working for him.
Yeah, it's not a super common build on Void, partially because the thing that really suffers from is a lack of attack speed.
It looks like down here towards the bottom lane, they're smoked up. Axe looking for the call, is going to be able to get it now on Shadow. The roll and follow up, so much damage being done, and the Chronosphere on the back line, they've also caught out sights. Shadow is going to end up getting dunked there. They find the kill, and meanwhile, KP just going to end up running away from them for the moment. Blink still getting control. There's a bash, pretty lucky, and the follow-up stun coming from the Earth Spirit is going to be enough. That was a kill onto the Axe, so a little bit unfortunate there, but they're still going to be able to find more. Faith Beyond falling, and 4 dead for the 2 of Newbee.
Yeah, I'm actually really concerned for Wings Gaming at this point, right? This is a draft that needs to be executed with a level advantage. Elder Titan's innate kit does not really get much better with gold relative to how much better it gets with an experience advantage. Same thing for Huskar. Like, it's nice to put gold on a Huskar, but what he really wants is to get off to a good start. To some degree, at least until later portions of the game, the same is true for Juggernaut. So, all of their heroes, at least through the first 20 to 25 minutes, are very level dependent. Need a couple of core items, maybe, but should really be rolling through at this stage in the game effectively. Especially considering the Faceless Void character is going for an atypical build that minimizes some of his damage output at this stage.
Yeah, this is, I did see that Huskar was almost able to survive through that, tried to turn onto the Axe, but at the end of the day, it still is such a great answer to the hero as a whole and the whole concept of him that Shadow's going to have time. And the fact of the matter is they haven't taken a tower. Are they going to be able to find that? Okay, diving in, Faith Beyond, in some trouble. They jump forward and are going to throw out the kick. Not quite there, but he stood shield fall. Yeah, no way to stop it. So they end up being able to take down the bottom tier 1 tower at least, but you're also going to trade down out as they get the kill with the Witch Doctor onto the top tier 1 tower, and I would imagine that they're going to come back and contest this Shadow hitting the tier 2. Like, KP is there and he's ready to jump.
Yeah, but once again, this is kind of a huge problem just conceptually with Wings draft. Their draft is the intention here is that they get off to a fast start, then they apply pressure 3 or 4 onto towers the way that they just did, and in doing so force Newbee to come and act, take favorable team fights, and that's where their experience comes from. Because when you're grouped up, you get less experience for each individual hero. You're taking resources off from that. But Newbee aren't playing that game. When Wings group up as 4, Newbee just go kill the 1 and give up the tower. And the gold is not really that valuable in this gaming draft at this stage in the game. It's nice, but what they really need is to make sure that they're maintaining an experience advantage. They do that by getting kills, and Newbee just are real to the book.
And I think the other thing is that as we take a look at this, the Battle Fury almost completed for How on this Void, one of the things that you need to be able to do in the context of these heavy pushing drafts is we see the Weave come out for Shadow. I'd actually have to talk about this in a second, as it looks like they might be spoiling for a fight. But what I was going to say is that you want to be able to kill off those heroes that are countering push. The Void is going to be moving along this top lane here, and they want to be able to jump in and find a kill on him, but he's just going to be able to continue to push out this top lane with immunity, and it's going to be very difficult for them to punish that. And you can see mid lane, they're constantly being hit, Void getting farm. And so they can't like bring one hero to get a solo kill on this Void. They would need to bring several, and then that leaves them a little bit in the mid lane if there is pressure. So again, the Battle Fury Void being put to that position 1, and then Axe getting moved to the off lane, just a really smart decision by Newbee.
I mean, Newbee also have, like, across their team, a 5 to 6 level advantage. They're sitting at about 5,000 experience in their favor because of the way the strategy works, as we've already outlined for Wings. And honestly, I think Newbee are doing that strategy better than Wings are, right? They have the one hero, as you mentioned, with How, just chopping away, and he got the bulk of a tier 2 tower on his own in exchange for a tier 1 that, honestly, you don't care that much about.
No, and
they don't need that tower.
You look at it also, bottom lane is being pushed in while Axe is going to cut the creep wave. Newbee is doing a good job with this, and they're finding the movement that they need. As far as getting back into this and Wings taking a little bit of the advantage for themselves, where do you see that happening? Is it a play towards Roshan? Is it grouping up as 5 and taking down the tower in the top lane and then moving along towards tier 2 top? Or what do you think is the play here?
Yeah,
as we see, oh my god, Chronos here dropped. Blink is going to end up dying here, possibly. They do have Graves still if they need to use it, and he's going to be fine for the moment, but might end up still losing his life. That's a nice sleep, keeping him alive, but they should be able to sort of settle after that one. That was close.
Yeah, unfortunately, that does mean the Chronos combination is down, so they can actually push onto this tower, maybe even dive it.
Oh, nice stun coming out. Yeah, they call off the defense, as it looks like they don't want to overextend. Witch Doctor picks up a Hand of Midas as well. I guess that's a thing.
Yeah. Well, no, it works really well in this particular case because he wants to get the Ags up if possible, and moreover, he wants to make sure that he's not fall behind in levels, because Wings Game's draft becomes far more toothless if they're not ahead in levels. So for Doctor, I honestly think that that's a pretty good pickup in a way that I don't normally think is the case for them, actually, this late. I do think that Wings Gaming, they are vulnerable to losing a team fight here, and they need to be careful with the way that they're pushing. But if they can manage to knock down this tier 2, continue to apply pressure, they might be able to reassert control.
That's going to be an Earth Splitter coming through. Quan in a lot of trouble. He does die, and in the midst of all of this, Shadow is done, jumps upon, can't actually finish him off, though. Moves doing a decent chunk of damage, but there's going to be the Grave. And where's the Axe? He's already been killed off. They need to get the heck out of here. Doing a lot of damage. There's another Chakram, not going to hit the second time. And meanwhile, the Huskar is going to fall. The Magnetize being reapplied. Ice might go down here. No, he's going to be able to survive, but Kaka, with the double, kills off that Shadow Demon. Well played.
That engagement was really smart out of Wings, right? They knew.
Nicely played.
Unfortunate, but forcing out the engagement by tier 2 tower, pressuring that tower when you know the Chronosphere is down was right play by Wings. They got caught a little too deep in, and it became slightly too tractable, but to a point where over slightly, where they were able to take 2 by the tower, probably could have backed out. That was what they needed. If they can continue to do that, bait out the Chronos combo, then re-engage after that on the towers, they might be able to find themselves into a bouncing favorable position. But otherwise, do we really have the tools that they need in order to stay ahead?
And you can see right here the Timber Saw, Undying Bloodstone charges. It's not what you want to get right off the bat with it, but they're still going to be in an okay position. Also, the Ancients getting stacked up continuously. Eventually, How is going to be able to move back and try and take those out. But it does feel like, even though they're able to take that team fight a little bit better for Wings, I would say, the tier 2 tower still stands top. So they're still not getting those objectives that they need. And I feel like the further that this game goes on, Wings' draft is not going to do what it needs to do, as How finishes off the Mask of Madness. Oh man, what a throwback.
Yeah, this is a little something borrowed, a little something old, and I'm waiting for the something new here. God got Juggernaut's Battle Fury. He's got his old Mask of Madness, thinking maybe a new refresher or something. Throw it on top.
There we go. It's beautiful to see it. I don't know if they're going to end up going for that, but...
Probably not, no. I hope not. But at the end of the day, Newbee are pretty happy to just force Wings Gaming to pick an engagement fight.
Earth Spirit also picks up a Hand of Midas, so Newbee very much securing their late game and not afraid of what Wings are bringing their way. Yeah. That is pretty greedy. I'm not sure if I agree with this.
You know, it's all about levels, though. Is what it comes down to. You get Midas, if you get hand into your base, the ability to actually crack is pretty minimal here for Wings, because all of their push are slow siege, right? They got the Juggernaut, and that's it. So as long as Newbee are able to control the Roche Pit and not be 4-man wipes, those are basically the two things that they need to do. Not die in mess and control the Roche Pit. The rest of it, controlling their own towers, controlling their side of the map. Nice, but not necessary for to the stage where this is winnable.
Oh man, Moo there just jumped right at that dash, causing a little bit of trouble. We do also see the Timbersaw out. The Hasterin going to head on through his own jungle. Blink might end up actually getting shit sight of him, and that could be a problem. Despite the Timbersaw runs rather quickly. If he gets Omni Slash, he's still going to... Well, I guess he's got Ghost Scepter already. Man, Moo is so farmed. That's crazy.
And he'll be more farmed when he's around a Chronosphere, because he's going to instantly get 2 or 3 charges as well. Bear in mind, some of his farm... because he is sitting at only 9 Bloodstone shots. But
it does look like now it's time to Roshan hit. The Satyr Mind's there to tank up a little bit of damage that's coming through. Helm of the Dominator Armlet, as well as that Dragon Lance for Huskar. So a very tinky hero already at 2,100 HP when he's got his armlet on.
And meanwhile, while this is happening, the Axe is going to be on bottom. Right him away, but the Juggernaut's waiting.
He's almost able to get out there. KP is going to end up just TPing away for his kill, though. Oh man, if he would have called, he would have survived, I think.
Yeah, I would have actually. That, unfortunately, that should be able to just away. Yeah, and now the Aegis fall without any contest. Remember what we had said, like if Newbee are able to control the Roach Pit and not give up 4-man wipes, they probably win this game. But the Roach Pit is a key part of that huge part of the strategy.
Oh my god, Moo taking a lot of damage, but how is dropped the Chronosphere and now needs to get out of there. There's going to be the Timber Chain away for the moment. They do have coming in, and now also Silence in a little bit of trouble. Magnetize applied onto 150 in the reapplication. Fateon still alive. Aka is so Newbee. A little bit of a testy situation with the Earth Spirit, but throw away the but it throws the Earth Spirit's life away.
Newbee was a position game, but they just threw away. To be honest, they have to completely re-in it now. The BKB coming out on Faces Void. That's nice. Deals with a lot that Wings Gaming have, but it's not going to prevent the primary issue, which is that anybody who tries to kill in Chronosphere is going to get graved unless the Dazzle is inside the Chronosphere, and also there's a massive amount of damage for the stage coming up in Gaming, as they have...
under attack. Dire's middle tower is under attack.
With that level 16 threshold.
That's a problem. How's lane's pushed out to the best down here far enough, he might put himself in a position where he can start in the tier 3s. And you can see just now, like, they have to respond to this eventually, and the problem is they can't really just bring back one hero, because How is probably going to be able to, well, probably not kill him off since he doesn't have Chronosphere available, but yeah, there's the rotation back by Blink. How is going to just time walk away, and I imagine TP towards farming.
This is great by How, just forcing them to bounce back and play that whack-a-mole, so that he's just buying out time from that Aegis, trying to make it expire. Doing a good job of it. He is getting his farm while he's down here as well, so it's not like he's just wasting his time trying to wait for that Aegis to expire. And Wings Gaming have a notable advantage for right now, for this moment, especially considering the fact but they are still playing at almost 7,500 network disadvantage. Like, this is the moment for them to go out and make something happen.
And I feel like they particularly have to do that in light of the fact that you've got this Witch Doctor who's halfway to his Aghanim Scepter and still has the Hand of Midas, giving him gold and those levels. Level 11 on him, so level 2 ultimate. You take a look at the Earth Spirit who's been able to pick up the urn, and now I'm assuming, is this going back for like a veil at this point, or what's the idea behind the Robe of the Magi?
Yes.
Am I remembering that wrong?
Veil is right. No, you're right.
No, it doesn't do that anymore. I'm dumb. Sorry.
What? Yeah, no, you're right. It's 5 a.m. 5 a.m. casting. I'm gonna go back to that.
So Oblivion Staff into Orchid, I'm guessing?
Maybe. We'll see if he actually gets far enough out with that item progression. Actually, maybe. I'm kind of surprised he's not going in.
Huh.
Right, because, like, you have a decent chunk of damage that you're going to be able to throw out. Like, the Maledict is a lot of magical damage. Time Lock is a ton of magical damage when you're doing it with the Master Madness. If you hit, but that is going to be amplified by Veil. The Whirling Death is magical as well.
Yeah.
And not to mention the ultimate.
See, the unfortunate part about this, though, is that you still don't have a great way to keep them from continuing to split push, and even got a little bit of a lucky illusion for the axe, so he can keep these creepers pushing these illusions very consistently. A very, very frustrating situation for Wings.
The blade line. I don't know.
Okay.
It's just early. It's just early in the day, man. Yeah, it should be. It should be a bit. Now that I'm actually thinking about what he has instead of what I thought that he.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Timbersaw
is farmed as hell, man. He's got Boots of Travel up. He's got the Ghost Scepter. He's got the Blood stuff.
Whoa.
And...
Shadow Demon Brown Boots Lincoln Sphere? Holy hell. That's a first.
Just got a Lincoln Sphere, I guess.
I mean, it's all for Shadow, so that's a thing.
So the Blade Mail does come out. Sanjin Yasha coming out here, and the Juggernaut. What is he so concerned with that he needed the Lincoln Sphere? Because...
Dunk? Oh, you know what? That's what it is.
Is it just the Dunk?
Yeah, I mean, that's the counter to Huskar at this point.
It is just... That is a huge investment to stop one spell.
I mean...
For 4 seconds.
If
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
It does solve that problem, right? It is the only way to solve that problem. And also, Newbee do not have spammable spells to lift the Lincolns. So it's not like that. Ooh, boy.
That's a lift up.
Yeah,
a lot of trouble. Is going to fall here. The disruption is going to drop it down as well. A little bit of wonderful stuff there. He actually throws out the magnet as well. I guess the only way that they're really going to be able to stop this is with a Witch Doctor cask to try and break the Lincoln Sphere. Right. But they need to recognize that that's what Innocence is trying to do.
Well, Axe also does have Battle Hunger. So if he doesn't open the fight with that, he can always lift at least until there's a BKB available. Which is going to be quite a while.
Oh, Shadow jumped upon. They call back now. It's going to try and pull him a little bit out of position, and they do still have the Grave. They are going to end up being able to throw on that Lincoln Sphere in just a second if I want to. Timber signs up committing suicide, realizing he was burned down, and the whole time they've also got How who's going to be able to take down this tier 3 tower. His time walks away, so still fine. I think they have to be able to deal with Innocence eventually.
Right. The problem is that we are doing a pretty decent job their force known on the map, which not all teams would be doing when playing in this position. But I mean, everything that they're building for the Hawks, right? So later on in this game, Newbee have 3.5 major cores, and Wings Gaming have a star and an insurance policy of a Juggernaut. We are just going to railroad.
I'm more and more concerned as this game goes on that they're not going to, like, they have to hit this meet. They can't afford to sort of let it back and just try and farm up some more, because all of this investment into the Huskar has to coalesce into like a single push toward the high ground. And we said, you know, it is going to be able to block that one spell for that 1 second that it's going to end up mattering. That 1 second can win them the game if they hit it correctly. But I don't know. It's still a concerning point, I would say.
I mean, all of the castle is building an Octarine, presumably just to be able to get shallow grave more often. Right? Like, they are... Both of the supports are going in on supporting the Huskar specifically, and everything not really on them.
Well, that's the other thing that Wings have done in the past. Like I was talking about previously, they ended up running Alchemist Huskar draft, and first item on the Alchemist was an Active Scepter, so that he was able to get a 4-second cooldown on his dunk with 65% damage, and they won that game. So Wings realized what like here, and is trying to use their team very carefully. I still can't believe, though. I mean, the thing that's most about Wings as a team is they are always trying to take the item that gives them the best ability to win. It's not about the meta. It's never about the meta.
Honestly, they're not even necessarily grabbing the item that I think gives them the best chance to win, but they're grabbing the item that the overall have to come to.
Oh god, they end up being able to drop down the Chronosphere, KP on top of Shadow, doing a lot of damage, and he does end up getting dropped. Get the dunk. No Lincoln Sphere this time, because guess what? Shadow a little bit too far away. And now, with the Huskar dead, HR spot, Newbee with on one, you're going to be able to start to make things happen.
Yeah, so what I'm trying to say there is that they're not even building the stuff to make them more likely to win. Like, there are definitely statistically better builds for Wings Gaming to have gone for overall potential for success. But what they're doing, they're maximizing their opportunity to win in the stage of the game that they are specializing in. You know, Wings Gaming love taking games between 25 and 30 minutes. They are mid-game feats. They are absolute killers, and that's how they move into Newbee successfully, while many teams in the world are unable to do so. Newbee likes the teams closer to that, like 35 to 45 mark, and Wings come in underneath them and pull them under with those currents. So, for Wings, yeah, their build here is pretty unconventional, and it will fall off fairly hard. They don't have as much of a late game insurance policy as most teams would build, and that late game insurance policy would probably increase their likelihood to win. But, you know, they know their strengths, and they know this is the period of time that they have to be executing, so they might as well build the maximum for right now.
And I'm looking at this game, and it's starting to feel like that maximizing point, the sort of, you know, the moment that Wings were hoping to find is closing rapidly. You've got Faceless Void now with the BKB, Mask of Madness, Monkey King Bar, and the Battle Fury. If he drops that Chronosphere on top of the Huskar, it's just over. Like, they're not going to be able to really stop this very effectively. And, I mean, that was the one other nice part about this draft, outside of the pure damage that was already done, was that he didn't have to worry too much about the Void because he had that Heaven's Halberd. And, I don't know, it's a rough life right now for the Huskar, and oh my god, Shiva's Guard online for the Timber. I do get a Diff Blade on the Jug, which means that he's going to be able to kill through the Ghost Scepters that are out there, but these Midases are coming into play. It's a scary situation indeed for Newbee.
This is pretty out of control, especially, I mean, yeah, it's been up at Witch for a little while. The turn still only on Wings Game.
He says all going for an Octarine.
Yeah, he is. So one tap to get that shallow grave more often.
Oh god. They end up going to get on absolutely everybody. A really nice armlet toggle, and looks like they'll be able to bring down Swan in a moment. Doing a decent bring them down. It doesn't look like this. Shadow's still alive. Finally taken. It's going to start to go a little. Hero Newbee. They lose their Jug, but but now Jug's starting to do damage.
That was such a good growth sphere from Hal. Unfortunately, he decided to engage in that Chronosphere as well. Damage. Trusting his team to be able to take down that Huskar. I think he really does a new. No, it was a combat pet. Efficacy and kill him first. It doesn't. You gotta land a 3 counter on everybody but Shadow and turn around 2 kill Shadow. Had Newbee done that, had now gone back for the Scarf first, they would have won that fight probably without losing a single soul. But instead, 3-3 trade because so 3 with how moving forward a little too fast.
You know what it is? We might have used it in the in the midst of all of that. Dazzle, I was wondering how Huskar got back up to such life.
Yeah, no, he got
Bloodstone, and the reason is that way he was able to and then get healed up afterwards. So my life for Huskar indeed.
That's even more gung ho. My life hard than I expected with the Octave.
My Huskar
support.
All right.
Wow.
Jump in the hole. Shadow is there as well. Witch Doctor Ultimate is going up. Still, it's going to be able to. Shadow's still alive, and he has been. They only lost the entire fight. He ended up Bloodstone suiciding. They do actually end up killing off. A little bit unfortunate, but just down and Moo. He'll here get anything else. It doesn't look like it. My game. This game.
Capitalize on this now, though. They absolutely because the rest is not good. If they don't have the Aegis in him anymore, there's buyback on the and the Bloodstone. Particularly that blood strategy on the duel buys you about 2 minutes of advantage. Right, so that 2 minutes of advantage had it bought this. We don't make objectives in here. Wait, but they do. Just straight up next level movie.
I think that they might have been able to do this. You've got now Husk.
Dire's middle barracks has fallen.
From the Void, the Dazzle, the Linkus Sphere, Shadow, everything thrown into Shadow right here. They do jump now, and Taka might gonna end up pulling. They end up being able to get the Shallow. Still alive for the moment. Aren't able to break it. The Huskar buys back immediately to the bite and is going to try towards there. A secondary dunk. KP trying to take him down. So they end up losing that other lane, and Huskar is not going to nearly be able to be here in time.
Yeah.
He's just trying to fill out these lanes.
That was a pretty weak buyback, to be honest. He's not going to be able to make up that gold farming here. And there's no with the travel that he was going to get back into that. But they managed to get a lane around. They got a tier 3 power out of it. Dazzle is pretty much a grave machine at this point. 4 Bloodstone charges, and that's pretty much all.
Oh my god.
I mean, you gotta give them credit. They utilized that very off-color Bloodstone choice to win 2 fights, and winning those 2 fights was converted into 1/3 of their opponent's base. So, once again, it really does come all the way back down to Wings did not grab the items that gave them the statistically higher odds of winning. But they grabbed the items that gave them the best odds of winning in the time period that they know how to fix. I love how self-aware this team is the best reason for that.
Now Timbersaw still getting rather fun, and as are the rest of the heroes of Newbee, but at a certain point in time, you gotta be able to objectives. They can keep these lanes pushed out fairly consistently. You can see the swing back. The other thing that I'm starting to wonder at this point, you've still got or rather a Juggernaut with a Blink, Diffusal Blade, Battle Fury, Sanjin Yasa, Scott. He's top of the net worth right now, and he's need to be able to deal with that at a certain point. You now get the Aghanim Scepter, so another sort of edge from them. Does look like how with the Chrysalis now up and online, KP is going back for the Aghanim Scepter himself. He's only about 1,000 gold away from finish it. Like their item is to deal with this. A bit
straight
here now would be
and take a scan. They want to just ground on somebody. Not able to find anybody though. I'm honestly kind of surprised it just walked literally in the basement.
They send they need. Illusions also of the Juggernaut, and he's gonna just get away at these Very. And you can see the back protection. They don't have a way to stop it really. I guess it's pretty good from the of cool.
It's something, but solutions will chip away, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, Newbee are not by any means, especially the faces for Battle Fury. One lane suitors is not the end of the world. Timber announced that he's not seen blood from because he's backed up. They're able to and just grab them. They still go, I would assert, late game there, especially given able to have the dazzled. Once again, Shadow Demon even bought a Blink Dagger so that he could get close enough to do the Lincoln speed. Or, I mean, there are other uses for a Blink Dagger on Shadow Demon, but that's pretty much the primary reason. Make sure you're able to get that Lincoln Sphere off without being caught in the Chronosphere. So he can sit way back. As soon as Chronosphere's off on the star, Shadow Demon can blink into range and throw down that link.
Well, Newbee go for a second smoke now, and it does look like they're going to be wrapping around, realizing what's coming. But what is already from all of the heroes realize exactly what Newbee is doing. They blink forward, try to go for a cape, not going to be able to find it. Shadow is right up front and center there. The BKB immediately and does manage to throw it back home. Double axe coming out, Shadow dropping. They landed up, they're going through the chest. It is going to be a kill. He ends up dying, but they've already lost the Witch Doctor as well. Oh, maybe going to be able to find a bit more. Omni Flash kills off how? They don't have any. Place has been gone. I think they might have been able to do this. Can they actually find anything else with Moo? It doesn't look like Blink is just going to right-click onto him. They have the dip blade to take man. It's going to be, but ends up getting broken. And Ultra kill for. They're going to down mid.
Okay, so they ignored Blink for too long. Check Roche, but that's gonna go straight down this bottom lane. He should be able to get.
All right.
Well, no, they're the buyback now.
Buyback from Hal, also a back from the Axe, and they need to happen right here. Blink is so huge, and they don't really have a great way to stop this. Oh man, having to commit those really hurts. You would have loved to be able to get the Magnum Scepter on the Axe. But the team fight just feels like things so paired for them.
And the other thing is that, like, they could have shut this or not. This is the painful part, right? They had a period where they were well ahead in gold, even more ahead in the experience. Juggernaut does hit a lull after he gets his Battle Fury, where he doesn't really contribute very much other than sustain. So, I mean, I expected Newbee to be much aggressive onto the Juggernaut, but they have more or less ignored him. That is coming back to bite pretty sophisticated.
And Blink is now got the Moonshot on post fire in a game. Long shot. Granted, have seen Faceless would just go straight for him. There's all of this attempt to give it lead that's jump very rapidly going to die. But there's that's being given right now to the Scar, and there's no response right here for Blink. Nobody paying attention. That really has to change. It can't. Like, you got Faceless right here who's gonna just be able to throw him inside of if you catch him. But they need to find a way to make that happen.
Right, and the other thing is that if the Axe is able to get into a good haul, right, on the blade, that would be a decent chunk of the Juggernaut's health in of itself. The issue is that he's being forced to call on the Chronosphere on the Huskar. Kill Huskar off inside of that Chronosphere. Like, we've barely seen any solid Death Ward Chronosphere combination. You really need to be landing that combo in these fights, or why have the Witch Doctor? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, definitely. And he does provide. I haven't seen that the Magic's not going to be able to do as much as you would hope for. Faceless Void actually does buy out there. He's got himself a Demon Edge. This is going to be to finish off that nice little Daedalus, I would imagine, at this point. I almost kind of wonder if it would be worth it to go back for a Bloodthorn himself. But it doesn't look like it's going to be an option that he opts for. The Blink in and Sean soon to fall. Who do you feel like takes this at this point?
Who takes Roshan?
Yeah.
Probably
And the I guess the Huskar.
Yeah, he drops the helm. Yeah. I mean, you don't really have any other good options.
This could be a nice play, though. They're moving in here, and Chronosphere is available. If How can find them right here at this point in time, Aegis on the ground, Huskar ends up being able to take it. They got it back. Oh, man.
It's the loop of the level that they're making. Gaming are just an absolutely different fashion this age. Anyone in team so we don't have answers for what's going on here. They allow these games so much space on the late game. This is the thing that Wings Gaming as a team are just so adept at punishing as a mentality.
Well, and it looks like, at least for BKB on Timber, it's going to allow free range of movement. You'll buy out for anybody. This is the stand, the final countdown. Everything's going to end up coming down to this, and with essentially ostensibly lives on the Huskar, now there. This is, I don't know. It's big heroes that are different.
Yeah. I'm here we have that they can use, especially if this goes late.
Stunned. They miss the Timber chain away. Shadow's still taking damage there. Katie is going to get caught here, and a throws it out like, God, the damage! Juggernaut is there, so they're just going to running through them. They only have faith in the corner, and Katie runs into it as well. It's all going wrong. There's no buyback. I think that this is done it. Ultra for Wings. GG gets called. Wings Gaming with the most absurd of item choices and just really the gameplay all. They end up beating down Newbee. This was a hell of a series. I can't wait to see these teams play each other forever. This is my new brand of Dota. I'll watch it.
At the beginning of the series, I stand by. And Newbee versus Wings was the game series that I wanted